I'm going to talk about energy efficiency and energy conservation for you today. And you can ask questions at any point in time if you would like, or you can just hold till the end. I think we have about a 10-minute time period at the end for presentation and questions. My presentation sort of dovetails really nicely with Craig, so I'm kind of excited that we were able to move it up. He spoke quite a bit about the energy use and energy sources that we use here in Michigan. These are actually from the 2014 Energy Star website. You can go on the website and get a breakdown by state on what the estimated energy usage. So this is for the state of Michigan. It's estimated that we use about 55% of our energy to heat our domiciles, that our appliances, lights, and electronics take about 27% of the energy that we consume in our homes. Water heating alone is 17%, and then, believe it or not, and I thought this number would be much higher, cooling our homes, we only use about 1% of the energy utilization of our 100% that we have. And I guess how our winter has gone, we can understand that maybe we only have a few months that we actually need to cool our homes down. But it seems to be a crisis when it happens. So then when I look at Michigan's energy sources, just for clarification, this is the energy fuel source that we use in the state of Michigan to create our electricity pool from. We use 54% from coal, 30% from nuclear, so a total of 84% comes from coal and nuclear combined to create the electricity that we use in the state of Michigan. 12% currently is what we are utilizing for natural gas in the state of Michigan. This is 2013 figures. And 4% is where we are with our renewables. And renewables is a combination of solar, wind, hydro, biomass, digesters, wood, any element that would be a renewable source that we could use. I'm hoping at some point in time we're going to look at utilizing the Great Lakes somehow. We're going to put wind turbines out there. I know we are, but at some point in time, maybe the way the water flows in the Great Lakes we'll be able to use also. So 84% of Michigan's energy source comes from either coal or nuclear. The reason why I think that this is important is because, does anybody in here know where Michigan gets their fuel from? I mean, somebody can yell out sun, and that is a true statement, because we do have some of us that are running on solar power. Ours running on solar power, where they're
way out west somewhere, a long way away.
Way out west somewhere. So where does Michigan get the fuel from for us to change into the electricity that we use in our homes when we plug things into the outlet? Michigan imports the fuel, all except for renewables. Unbelievable. I didn't really think that that was true until I went on the Department of Energy's website. This is 2014 figures. 100% of the coal and the nuclear fuel that we use in our state of Michigan comes from other than Michigan. We have to truck it in, train it in, transport it into our state. That really was like an eye-opening experience for me, and I've been working in renewables for many, many years, to actually think about the source. I mean, I complain a lot about I don't like the coal plants, I don't like the pollution, we shouldn't have to use that, there's better sources. But to actually think about where the fuel comes from and how much money we spend as consumers to get that fuel into the state. Now, 82% of the natural gas that we use in Michigan is also imported into our state. So think about that for a little bit too while we think about fracking. So these imports of fuel to our state to create the electricity that we use every day in our homes accounts for 72 cents of every dollar spent for energy by Michigan citizens. 72% of every dollar that you spend is transporting the fuel source to Michigan so we can utilize it to create electricity. And that brings me to our point. Well, energy conservation. when we think about energy usage, many of us might not think about energy as a discipline that we can conserve or a commodity that we can conserve. My previous speaker here, Craig, demonstrated that beautifully in a matter of a few months with some minor changes in what he did in his home. He was able to conserve or decrease his energy footprint in his home. So energy conservation is the act of using energy in a more efficient and effective manner. I think we all can do that in here. I'm confident of it. This diagram that I found while I was starting to do the presentation, putting this presentation together for today, I thought beautifully illustrated a point here. We're all accustomed to seeing graphics in a pyramid. You know, with the base of the pyramid, the foundation of the pyramid is the most important component. And if you don't have the foundation in place, you're likely to fail on other levels of the pyramid as you move up. This is a conservation pyramid. At the bottom, the two elements here that are bracketed in red, these are energy conservation measures. They are understanding the basics of energy usage in your home and how to be a good steward of energy. And that involves either having an energy audit. There is a website called Yardstick at energystar.gov, which has, you get together your energy bills and a couple of other questions, and you plug this information in, and it will give you a rough idea on how you're doing on an overall scale with energy usage in your home. If you are lucky enough to be able to have the luxury to design a new home, there are many construction design sequences that are now available for us to make low energy, low impact, passive homes, homes that are net zero energy, etc., that are available. But most of us are not going to run out and build a new home tomorrow. So we need to work with what we have presently. The next layers of the pyramid, up to the very top of the pyramid, are energy efficiency modalities that you can put into play. With your lighting, air sealing in your home, changing out your appliances, insulating more, increasing the ventilation in your home, your water heating methods, heating and cooling your home, new windows and doors in your home. This goes from complexity to investment on up. So lighting is the least complex and the most cost effective. Next, air sealing in your home. So you kind of get the idea as you move up the pyramid. That which is at the top of the pyramid, heat pumps, furnaces, air conditioning, replacement windows are much more costly, and it's a much more complicated method of becoming more energy efficient. And some of us are at this place on the pyramid as we move up. We've already done all the installation in our home, so now we're looking at water heating, what we can do next. But at the very top of the pyramid up there, renewable options, solar, electric, and wind, to create or generate the source of energy, electricity, for us to use from a renewable source that we have here. And yes, solar does work in Michigan. So energy use and use. The energy production or electricity production in the United States is the leading cause of industrial air pollution. I missed the first few minutes of the previous speaker's presentation, so I don't know if he mentioned that to you or not. This is from the Worldwide Institute. It's a 2013 figure. So, low-cost ways to save. Turn off, turn off, turn off. I cannot stress this more. Turn off your computers, turn off your printers, your electric blankets, your stereos, your DVDs, your CD players, your waterbed heaters. Turn everything off. And the reason why I mention this, as has already been eloquently discussed, is in our homes we have vampires or phantom loads. And nationally, this is a figure from the EPA 2012, 5% of our domestic energy costs in the United States, consumers are spending more than $8 billion to maintain phantom loads or phantom vampires or energy vampires in their home. That, to me, is a shocking figure. This is nationally $8 billion. So what are we going to do about that? Well, we're going to turn things off. Whoops. We're going to turn things off. Already explained, some of the electrical equipment that we have in our house uses 50% of its power while it's turned off. Off. If it's still plugged in and it's turned off, and it has any kind of a standby mode, I'm waiting for you to sit down in your chair and press your remote, I am telling you the time. I mean, we've got the time about 15 different places in our kitchen because every appliance in our kitchen tells me the time. They're not all the same time, but they all tell me. They all tell me the time. So we are very strong advocates of, unless you know exactly where the phantom load is coming from, which I talk about a kilowatt meter, very similar to what you have described too, but I kind of like this concept of it being wireless, so you can kind of walk around and sort of think about it, where the kilowatt meter, you have to plug it in, plug your appliance in, and then you have to wait for the data to be loaded, onto it. So power strips, extremely important. The downside here, for those of you who are huge electronics fans, are that you're going to have to reprogram your DVR every time you turn it on. So if you pre-programmed your DVR to record all of your special programs that you would like, when you turn it off completely, you're going to have to reprogram it in to do that. So there is, you also have to get out of your chair to turn your TV on. You can't sit down and use your remote. So the kilowatt meter, which runs about $30, finds the energy vampires in your home. The average family in Michigan spends about $275 a year to keep their electric equipment on standby mode, waiting for us to just come in and do something. I know, that's a lot of pizzas, isn't it? Yeah, it is. It is. So, low-cost ways to save in talking about energy usage. This has already been discussed. I did not go as far as the LEDs yet, because the utilization of CFLs, we still have individuals in our communities that are using incandescent lights in their homes. So at the end of the presentation up here, Maynard can decide how he'd like to do this. These are from the Do It Center, and we can either have question and answer, see if you guys are paying attention. I can toss you out a light bulb, or first come, first serve. We can have a little, run up here and see who can get the light bulbs first. There. So, replacing your incandescent bulbs with compact fluorescents. Now, 4 or 5 years ago, compact fluorescents really got a bad rap because they came into the marketplace. The technology was there, but the marketing savvy wasn't quite there with it. The refinement of the compact fluorescent bulbs that we have available to us today at the store is much superior than 3 to 5 years ago when we went in. So if you heard, well, I tried it, 4 years ago, it burned out in like 3 minutes, or I can't get, I can't get enough light, from it. I need 15 of them to read with, where, before I had this one bulb. The caveat with compact fluorescent lights, though, is that you need to dispose of them properly. They contain small amounts of mercury. Okay, this isn't mercury that's going to kill you if you accidentally drop the bulb and it breaks, but you need to be aware of how to handle mercury. So the website, www.earth911.com, has the coolest little thing on it. You go to this website, you type in your zip code, and it will tell you all of the different places within your zip code where you can recycle these CFLs, which I think is pretty good. Again, just to emphasize, CFLs use 1/4 of the energy of an incandescent bulb, and a good CFL, one that you've put your money into, not one that's on sale for 25 cents, usually lasts up to 20 times longer than an incandescent bulb. Now, hot water in you. I found this to be pretty interesting too. Americans use an average of 100 gallons of water a day. Did you think that? 100 gallons of water a day? I can't imagine that I would, but I think I do. So, what are low-cost ways to save on our water heating expenses, since that accounts for 17% of our energy utilization in our homes? Your water heater, if you do not have an instantaneous water heater, or a solar water heater, a solar thermal heater, or masonry heat to heat your water with, your water heater that you purchased and put in your home has a default setting at 140 degrees. Okay. We don't need 140 degrees for sanitation in our homes. So if we reduce the water heater's default setting to 120 degrees Fahrenheit, each 10 degree Fahrenheit reduction in water heater temperature results in a 13% reduction in your water heating costs. So just go into your water heater and turning the dial from 140 down to 120, which is still more than sufficient to kill the bacteria that you might have in your water system, you're going to save an average of 26% on your water heating bill. Other no-cost ways to save. Reduce your hot water use by taking shorter showers. You know, a 5-minute shower, you go to a campground, you pay 25 cents, you go in, you have 3 minutes of water. So it might cost you 50 cents to get your shower done. So I figure in our home, maybe we can get away with doing 5-minute showers rather than half-hour showers, which are quite a luxury. The other thing to look at, though, is the average bathtub uses 70 gallons of water, while taking a 5-minute shower uses only 10 gallons of water. Just food for thought. Other no-cost ways to save is to do your laundry in cold water. I grew up in the era when my mom and my grandmother, it was like sacrilegious if you did not do your whites in hot, hot water, your colors in warm water. There wasn't such a thing as washing anything in cold water. You even did warm water rinses. Today's technology in the, we'll call it laundry detergent phenomena, has formulations that work as well, if not better, in cold water than they do in warm water. We're not a paid spokesperson for Tide. It just happened to be a pretty picture that I thought would look good on the presentation here. So Tide cold water, you can do all of your laundry in cold water. You don't need to use hot water, which is a huge savings, especially if you have a washer dryer back 20 years ago. Like my husband and I have been married for 30 plus years, and we have our original washer. So yeah, I'm getting a new one when we move out to the farm. Other low-cost ways to save: turn off the water while you're brushing your teeth. If you just think about it, you're standing there brushing your teeth, the water is running constantly. You don't need to have the water running constantly. It's just a habit that we learned when we were little. Now some people were taught properly, turn the water off. Take your toothbrush in, turn the water off, do your 2 minutes brushing your teeth, and then go for it. Or just fill a glass with water and then finish brushing your teeth. Every time you reduce your water usage, you're going to reduce your overall energy costs. Average bathroom faucet flows at a rate of about 2 gallons a minute. Average faucet flows at 2 gallons a minute. Turning off the tap while brushing your teeth in the morning and night can save, that's assuming you brush twice a day, can save you 8 gallons of water a day. Pretty good. Low-cost ways to save: water heater insulation. So insulate your water heater. There's insulated blankets that you can buy. There's a variety of different menagerie that you can work on to cover your water heater to conserve the heat in the water heater. You can even go as far as putting insulation on the pipes that come out, your hot water pipes that come out, so that you have hot water that remains hot in the hot water pipe all the way to the source of use. Now the one caution here is that if you have a gas water heater, you must leave the vents open. You can't completely consume the water heater in an insulation blanket. And most of the insulation blankets that you can buy for your water heaters will have a big cautionary statement on there that if you have a natural gas or a propane gas water heater, you need to leave the vents open on it. Other low-cost ways to save: fix any dripping or leaking faucets or toilets. Leaky faucets can waste 3,000 gallons of water per year. Leaky toilets can waste 200 gallons of water per day. Now, if you don't know if your toilet's leaking or not, you just take the lid off, put a couple of drops of food coloring in, you come back 20 minutes later. If the bowl then is the same color as the food coloring that you put in, you've got a leak in your toilet. And you need to fix the seal. Install low-flow shower heads and faucets. There is EPA criteria for low flow that's called WaterWise, and you'll see this logo on those qualifying low flow shower heads. Install low flow toilets. If your toilet is from 1992 or earlier, it averages about 5 gallons a flush. And the newer high efficiency toilets use less than 1.3 gallons per flush. That's a 60% reduction in the amount of water that you use. Now, I know not a lot of us use hot water to flush our toilets with, but it's just the whole concept of conservation should go across the board in all of the resources that we use in our home. The kitchen, the most energy intensive portion of our homes. Today's dishwashers are about 95% more energy efficient than those that were bought in 1972. Today's refrigerators are about 70% more energy efficient than those that were bought 20 years ago. We also have an old refrigerator. Not only an old refrigerator, but we have a second refrigerator in the basement. We'll get to that in just a minute. So no cost ways to save. To make your refrigerator work more efficiently, keep the refrigerator coils clean. Every 3 months, you should vacuum out your refrigerator coils. An older refrigerator, they're in the back. The newer refrigerators, they're on the bottom. So you have to pull the grate off the bottom, vacuum out all the dust and dirt. The refrigerator will work much more efficiently. You can set your thermometer in your refrigerator side to about 36 degrees, on your freezer side to between 0 and 5 degrees. And you should always keep at least 3 inches of airspace around your refrigerator because it needs to have ventilation in order for it to work properly. And then you also want to think about what you want before you open your door and close your doors, because every time you open your refrigerator door, all of the cold air dumps down to the floor. I know this because, whoops, whoa, I know this because my husband and I have boys at home. And so they go to the refrigerator, they're hungry, they open the doors. Okay, we're going to study this for a while until we decide what it is that we want. And the whole time, all of the cold air is flooding out of the refrigerator and onto the floor. You close the door, the refrigerator now has to recool everything. Yes?
What's the most efficient type refrigerators? The freezer on the bottom or the top, or those?
Are those?
Those
Well, I tell you.
Least, isn't it? As far as efficiency?
Yes, they are. You get one of those.
Well, what about
you were
top
breaking
and
what you were
bottom?
saying. They say that the ones that have the freezer on the bottom are the most efficient, but if you talk to my husband, he is creating for us the refrigerator of my dreams, which I thought was going to be like a French door, refrigerator with stainless steel, no, fingerprint coating on it that tells me like the weather and my, budgetary expenses for the day. But no, we're going to take a freezer, an actual freezer, and he's installing into it for me a thermostat regulator. Is that correct?
It's an external thermostat.
External thermostat that will regulate the temperature inside the chest freezer for me. So I'm going from this mode, where all the cold air rushes out every time I open it, no matter how fast I am, get in there and get the cheese sticks out, to a chest freezer that I open. It has baskets in it that move back and forth, and all of the cold air stays in, because cold air always drops. It never rises. Hot air rises, cold air or cool air drops. So I'll let you know next year if I'm invited back. I think that's working for me. So other no-cost ways to save: let your hot food cool before you store it in the refrigerator. Yeah. Oh, do you want another
No,
one? Do you need a second light bulb?
It's for him.
Oh, there you go.
Now it's for electric stoves versus gas stoves.
Well, you're talking to a woman who cooks on gas, and I love it. So I cannot, I know, I can't tell you. I wish I had that right on the end of my tongue for you. But I can tell you as a chef, gas is superior to electric for cooktop, but on the oven, An electric oven is much better to bake in than a gas oven is.
I just talking about energy.
I know, I don't have
I
a
would
clue,
think that
but we can
electric would be a
Google
lot
that, you
more.
know. We can Google that and see what we can come up with. So let your hot food cool. I know many of us are tempted to. We're done with dinner, we pack everything away. It's still very warm, we throw it in the refrigerator. The refrigerator has to work extra hard to cool that food down and then cool it down to 36 degrees. Use your microwave for cooking whenever possible. That is the most energy efficient, that I can tell you, sir. And then match the size of your pot to the size of your burner, and always use a cover on your burners, or on your pots, because you can serve the heat in. Try to keep your freezer full. If that means putting in, you know, milk bottles filled with water, so you have space that is already cold in your freezer. A freezer that's full works much more efficiently. A freezer that's half empty is cooling space that it doesn't need to cool. So you can put your bottles of water in there for when we have our spring storms, and then you have your cold water ready to go. You don't have to worry about firing up your generator. Hang your clothes out to dry. How many of you guys hang your clothes out to dry? Alrighty, any of you can come up here and get a light bulb afterwards. And then the old concept from my grandma of draft stoppers or draft dodgers. Does anybody know what those are? There, you put them on the sill of your windows or on your door, at the bottom of your door, to keep the cold air from kind of penetrating in through under the door or under the windows. Air dry your dishes if you're using a dishwasher. Most dishwashers today have an option for you to turn off the heat dry. There's no reason for the dishwasher to dry the dishes. Just open the frickin' door and let it dry, right? Only when your dishwasher, when it's fully loaded. You can rinse your dishes with cold water before you load them into your dishwasher, so you can go 3 or 4 days without having to run your dishwasher. You don't need to run it every night. Here we are at the appliances. Low-cost ways to save is to replace your old kitchen appliances with Energy Star appliances. This program, RAD, you can just Google RAD, which is Responsible Appliance Disposal, and then EPA, and it will give you all of the different locations in your area where you can recycle responsibly your appliances, and you'll get paid for it. Now in Michigan, the Michigan Appliance Rebate Program, you can get from $50 to $200 per appliance, depending on what it is. And this is at www.mirebate.com. This is for the appliances only. If you're looking for furnaces and water heaters to get a rebate on turning in your old furnace or your old water heaters, it is MICH. M-I-C-H, they had to confuse us, you know, so make sure that we're on our toes. It's MICHrebate.com. So this is for turning in your old furnaces or water heaters for rebate, and MI rebate is for your old appliances. I mean, why not get paid $50 for the refrigerator that's in the basement? So Home Comfort and You, over half the average home's energy consumption is used for heating and cooling. We already discussed that. The no-brainers is to set your thermostat to 78 in the summer and 68 in the winter. Some of us go down as far as 66, 64 degrees, and we just bulk up, you know, put on more clothes. The other thing that we sometimes forget, only heat and cool the rooms that you actually use. You know, if you have 20 rooms in your home and you only really use 3 of them, those are the 3 rooms you should heat and cool, not the other 17 that are in there. Other no-cost ways to save: close your shades and drapes at night in the winter to keep heat in. Close your shades and drapes during the day to keep the sun out, unless you are using the sun therapeutically to heat your home, which some individuals in the audience do. No-cost ways to save: dress for the weather. You know, we're Michiganders. We respect our weather. In the summer, light, airy clothes, some skin exposure, not too much. And in the winter, darker, heavier clothes, dress in layers, cover your skin. I don't know how many of my friends, I go to their house in the middle of the winter, and their homes are like 82 degrees, and they're running around in shorts in their house. 55% of our electric bill goes to heating. Put on long underwear. You know, it's like, there are things that we can do. Low-cost ways to save, install a ceiling fan. A properly installed ceiling fan blows down in the summer and up in the winter to circulate the air in the room to give you a better sense of radiant heat in your home rather than standing in front of the radiator to get the heat. Change or clean your HVAC filters every 2 months during heating and cooling seasons. A clean filter is an efficient filter. If you have older windows, installing the shrink wrap over the windows that you use the hairdryer to shrink down makes a huge difference in how much draft you get in and out of those windows. And it's really kind of a fun thing to do. It's sort of like you're playing with trinkets. Caulk and weather strip around your windows, your doors to stop air leaks. You can also purchase gaskets that go behind your outlets and receptacles in your home that help to stop the drafts and leaks that come from there. Install a programmable thermostat with a setback to at least 60 at night. You know, you don't need to be in an 80-degree home for your sleeping. It's more conducive to your health to sleep in a cooler bedroom. Low-cost ways to save overall with air sealing is any gaps in the floors or walls around pipes, electrical wiring, air leaks, seals, insulation, heating, duct work system. I mean, there is a menagerie of things that you can do to decrease the heat loss in your home by heat escaping from a variety of different places. And lastly, consider Energy Star windows and doors, and remember, insulate, insulate, insulate. You can never have too much insulation in your home. There is a program here available in Michigan to certain clients in our community. It's called the Weatherization Program. This program provides free energy conservation services to low-income Michigan homeowners and renters. So if you know anybody who might qualify for this program, their services include reducing energy usage and lowering utility bills, thus creating more self-sufficient households. They do wall insulation, attic and ventilation, foundation insulation, air leakage reduction, smoke detectors, and dryer venting. And no, I don't work for them. It's located in Benton Harbor. You can Google this. It's the Southwest Michigan Community Action Agency who modifies and moderates this program. Then just leaving you with a thought that if every household in the United States replaced just one incandescent bulb with a CFL, it would prevent enough pollution equal to removing 1 million cars from the road yearly. 1 million cars, one light bulb. In Michigan, if every person in Michigan replaced just one of their incandescent bulbs, we would save over $4 million over the lifetime of that bulb. My math? We've got about 10 million people in the state, $40 projected savings per one CFL in your home, a little over $40 million in savings. And I want to thank you all for your time and attention, and I've had a great time. I hope I got you.